I think an event often provides a lead into the poem. It must be just the way I work. I should imagine the process happens the same with everybody. There must be a sort of flash point attached to some event or object or Grecian urn or something like that. But I tend to lead the reader in by the hand very gently, saying this is the initial experience or object, and now you see it makes me think of this, that, and the other, and work up to a big finish. I mean, that's the sort of pattern. Other people, I suppose, will just take a flying start several yards off the ground and hope the reader will ultimately catch up with them. Want. Beyond all this, the wish to be alone. However the sky grows dark with invitation cards, however we follow the printed directions of sex, however the family is photographed under the flagstaff, beyond all this, the wish to be alone. Beneath it all, desire of oblivion runs. Despite the artful tensions of the calendar, the life insurance, the tabled fertility rites, the costly aversion of the eyes from death, beneath it all, desire of oblivion runs. Coming. On longer evenings, light, chill and yellow bathes the serene foreheads of houses. A thrush sings, laurel surrounded in the deep bare garden, its fresh-peeled voice astonishing the brickwork. It will be spring soon, it will be spring soon. And I, whose childhood is a forgotten boredom, feel like a child who comes on a scene of adult reconciling and can understand nothing but the unusual laughter and starts to be happy. Nothing to be said. For nations vague as weed, for nomads among stones, small-statured, cross-faced tribes, and cobble-close families in mill towns on dark mornings, life is slow dying. So are there separate ways of building, benediction, measuring love and money, ways of slow dying. The day spent hunting pig or holding a garden party, hours giving evidence or birth, advance on death equally slowly. And saying so to some means nothing, others it leaves nothing to be said. Days. What are days for? Days are where we live. They come, they wake us time and time over. They are to be happy in. Where can we live but days? Solving that question brings the priest and the doctor in their long coats running over the fields. Dockery and Son.
Dockery was junior to you, wasn't he?
Said the Dean.
His son's here now.
Death-suited visitant, I nod.
And do you keep in touch with...
Or remember how, black-gowned, unbreakfasted, and still half-tight, we used to stand before that desk to give our version of...
these incidents last night?
I try the door of where I used to live. Locked. The lawn spreads dazzlingly wide. A known bell chimes. I catch my train, ignored. Canal and clouds and colleges subside slowly from view. But Dockery, good Lord, anyone up to date must have been born in 43 when I was 21. If he was younger, did he get this son at 19, 20? Was he that withdrawn, high-collared public school boy, sharing rooms with Cartwright, who was killed? Well, it just shows how little... Yawning, I suppose I fell asleep, waking at the fumes and furnace glares of Sheffield, where I changed and ate an awful pie, and walked along the platform to its end to see the ranged joining and parting lines reflect a strong, unhindered moon. To have no son, no wife, no house or land still seemed quite natural. Only a numbness registered the shock of finding out how much had gone of life, how widely from the others. Dockery now, only 19, he must have taken stock of what he wanted and been capable of... No, that's not the difference. Rather, how convinced he was he should be added to. Why did he think adding meant increase? To me it was dilution. Where do these innate assumptions come from? Not from what we think truest, or most want to do. Those warp tight shut, like doors. They're more a style our lives bring with them. Habit for a while, suddenly they harden into all we've got, and how we got it. Looked back on, they rear like sand clouds, thick and close, embodying, for Dockery, a sun. For me, nothing. Nothing, with all a sun's harsh patronage. Life is first boredom, then fear. Whether or not we use it, it goes, and leaves what something hidden from us chose. And age, and then the only end of age.
I personally do presuppose that the reader is acquainted with, for example, the works of Freud and the works of Marx and the works of Burckhardt and so on. I mean, my poetry, I know, is, I suppose, intellectual. In that sense, I suppose my readership must be of people who have read, or people who are going to get the most out of the poems are people who've read fairly widely. Florestan to Leonora. Our shadows fall beyond the empty cage. The minister has gone, and I am left to try to live with your heroic age. I spare a thought, my dear, for you, who must go home to change the jackboots for a skirt and put the pistol on its nail to rust. But mainly think of my impossible task. My own love might have tried what yours achieved. It cannot bear the gift it did not ask. After the trumpet I felt in our embrace, I had been cheated of the captured's right to innocent inaction, and to face a suffering unjust as a sarcoma. Did you never conceive that it was possible to like incarceration? In this trauma of the imprisoning era, there must be some prisoners, for torturers to visit, to wear the pallor and the beards of free philosophers, and tap on streaming walls their selfless, ineffective messages concerning liberty to brutish cells. When the mob sang of brotherhood and joy, I was embarrassed, more so when I saw the near erotic answer in your eye. You take my hand as though I ought to live, and lead me out to that alarming world which, the oppressor dead, the sensitive confined inimical no longer. Yes, our values must shrivel to the size of those held by a class content with happiness, and warmed by our children, full of bread and wine, I shall dream of the discipline of insomnia and an art of symbols, starved and saturnine.
Milkmaid. The girl's far treble, muted to the heat, calls like a fainting bird across the fields to where her flock lies panting for her voice, their black horns buried deep in marigolds. They climb awake like drowsy butterflies and press their red flanks through the tall branched grass, and as they go, their wandering tongues embrace the vacant summer mirrored in their eyes. Led to the limestone shadows of a barn, they snuff their past embalmed in the hay, while her cool hand, cupped to the udder's fount, distills the brimming harvest of their day. Look what a cloudy cream the earth gives out, fat juice of buttercups and meadow rye. The girl dreams milk within her body's field, and hears, far off, her muted children cry. April Rise. If ever I saw blessing in the air, I see it now in this still early day, where lemon green the vaporous morning drips wet sunlight on the powder of my eye. Blown bubble film of blue, the sky wraps round weeds of warm light whose every root and rod splutters with soapy green, and all the world sweats with the bead of summer in its bud. If ever I heard blessing, it is there where birds in trees, that shoals and shadows are, splash with their hidden wings, and drops of sound break on my ears their crests of throbbing air. Pure in the haze the emerald sun dilates, the lips of sparrows milk the mossy stones, while white as water by the lake a girl swims her green hand among the gathered swans. Now, as the almond burns its smoking wick, dropping small flames to light the candled grass, now, as my low blood scales its second chance, if ever world were blessed, now it is. Day of these days. Such a morning it is when love leans through geranium windows and calls with a cockerel's tongue, when red-haired girls scamper like roses over the rain-green grass and the sun drips honey, when hedgerows grow venerable, berries dry black as blood, and holes suck in their bees. Such a morning it is when mice run whispering from the church, dragging dropped ears of harvest, when the partridge draws back his spring and shoots like a buzzing arrow over grained and mahogany fields, and when no table is bare and no breast dry, and the tramp feeds off ribs of rabbit. Such a day it is when time piles up the hills like pumpkins and the streams run golden, when all men smell good, and the cheeks of girls are as baked bread to the mouth, as bread and bean flowers the touch of their lips, and their white teeth sweeter than cucumbers.
This is a poem I wrote after seeing an inscription on a crucifix in Normandy about 10 years ago. It was a crucifix dated 1632, and the inscription read, "I am the great sun. I am the great sun, but you do not see me. I am your husband, but you turn away. I am the captive, but you do not free me. I am the captain, you will not obey. I am the truth, but you will not believe me. I am the city where you will not stay. I am your wife, your child, but you will leave me. I am that God to whom you will not pray. I am your counsel, but you do not hear me. I am the lover whom you will betray. I am the victor, but you do not cheer me. I am the holy dove whom you will slay. I am your life, but if you will not name me, seal up your soul with tears and never blame me." When I was in Normandy in 1955, I happened to go to Bayeux, and I saw the first war cemetery, the first British war cemetery I'd seen anywhere in Europe. Here are buried about 5,000 men who were lost very early on in the invasion of 1944. And when I came back home to Cornwall, I wrote this poem at the British War Cemetery, Bayeux. I walked where in their talking graves and shirts of earth 5,000 lay, when history with 10 feasts of fire had eaten the red air away. I am Christ's boy, I cried. I bear in iron hands the bread, the fishes. I hang with honey and with rose this tidy wreck of all your wishes. On your geometry of sleep the chestnut and the fir tree fly, and lavender and marguerite forge with their flowers an English sky. Turn now towards the belling town your jigsaws of impossible bone, and rising, read your rank of snow accurate as death upon the stone. About your easy heads my prayers I said with syllables of clay. What gift, I asked, shall I bring now before I weep and walk away? Take, they replied, the oak and laurel, take our fortune of tears, and live like a spendthrift lover. All we ask is the one gift you cannot give. Innocent Song. Who's that knocking on the window? Who's that standing at the door? What are all those presents lying on the kitchen floor? Who is the smiling stranger with hair as white as gin? What is he doing with the children, and who could have let him in? Why has he rubies on his fingers, a cold, cold crown on his head? Why, when he caws his carol, does the salty snow run red? Why does he ferry my fireside as a spider on a thread, his fingers made of fuses and his tongue of gingerbread? Why does the world before him melt in a million suns? Why do his yellow yearning eyes burn like saffron buns? Watch where he comes walking out of the Christmas flame, dancing, double talking. Herod is his name. This is a poem about the inescapability of oneself. Ballad of the Five Continents. In blue Bristol city at tall tide I wandered, down where the sea masts their signals were shining. I heard a proud seaman on the poop deck reclining shout to the stars that about the ship blundered. On the high harbour lie 6 shifty daughters, their bodies are straight, their eyes are wide. Here is the key of their burly bedchamber. I have unlocked it, I replied. As I went down Water Street beneath the blonde sun, the trees of cold Christmas screaming with starlings, sweet screamed the birds as my delicate darlings scanned at my hand the black-buttered gun. Think of the collar, my bonny, my beauty. Think of the hangman with hands so red. Pray, pray that he does his duty. I am that hangman, I said. As I walked in Wine Street, the silk snow was falling, and night in her Asian hair hung her comb. Soft sang the yellow-faced seaman of home, the gong and the coconut fiddle recalling. In the vermilion forest the dancer adorns with gold thorns his holy head. Will you not seize his hands, his fingers? I am the dance, I said. In Bread Street, in summer, we saw the boys hauling the Yankee white wheat on the bowl of the bay. Between us, the sword of the sun, where we lay bloody with poppies, the warm sky our shawling. Sly sing the sirens on the coast of California, the oyster-fingered, the easy-eyed, tiding their tune in the gin-wicked palaces. The song is mine, I cried. Down by the dockside, the green ships groaning, 10-roped, writhe on the ragged sea. Blessed are they with a laurel tree, now in the prow stands a saint for the stoning. Sound the salt bell on the mound of the ocean, fish for a prayer in the pool of the dead. When the storm strikes, speak the word on the waters. I am that word, I said. I am the prince, I am the lowly, I am the damned, I am the holy. My hands are 10 knives. I am the dove whose wings are murder. My name is love.
Fossil. Made stone, cleft, shape and shell of a thing past being dead, presses your finger. A reptile once lithe in the hot sea, dead. A simplicity still wanting pain, where skin and nerve coiled, turning itself on itself, dying. Not skeletal even, the dead's condition. A pressed black stone. Inside, white crystals, jammed, hard. Not far from the beginning, the begetting seed born in it is a finished thing changed. It suggests itself, solid, voiceless. You keep it on your mantelpiece, a broken thing, shaping your hand. Grass. Grass erupts slowly, locking the soil in frail roots. Without these tenant fingers, earth would be a sea, drifting, unsure. It is a sort of knowledge, gripping together, confirming that hill's shape. Do not forget the grass. That trodden softness could only be an innocence that insists, comes back, season by growing season. It cannot stop itself, and though you kill it, grass does not seem to die. Rocks, mortised in themselves, do not require it, nor does its colour clutch the spaces of the desert. Its absence is death's sign, breeding its own mystery. Grass exists, all life revolves around its rooted blade. And yet grass does not care. Accepting without flower, its seeds on plains or in cracked rocks, indifferent to a touch that sears the granite. Grass moves on, impotent in will, a rooted apathy exposed to hoof and fire. It cannot stop itself. Grass waits the mower's knife, the ditcher's spade.
There was a time when I ruined a great many poems by trying to write them too soon. I think I'm learning now that after the idea that will almost inevitably, with me, follow a pause, where nothing happens at all, and then a week, a month, 2 months later, it will again rise to the surface of the mind, and then I will work on it, probably with much more confidence, and finish up with something that may well be very different from the poem I first had in mind. It changes its shape as I go. A letter from Berlin. My dear, today a letter from Berlin, where snow, the first of 38, flew in, settled and shriveled on the lamp last night, broke moth wings, mobbing the window. Light woke me early, but the trams were late. I had to run from the Brandenburg gate, skidding, groaning like a tram, and sodden to the knees. Von Neumann operates at 10, and would do if the sky fell in. They lock his theatre doors on the stroke of the clock, but today I was lucky. Found a gap in the gallery next to a chap I knew, just as the doors were closing. Last, as expected, on von Schauman's list, the new vaginal hysterectomy that brought me to Berlin. Delicately he went to work, making from right to left a semicircular incision. Deft dissection of the fascia, the blood blossoming arteries nipped in the bud. Speculum, scissors, clamps, the uterus cleanly delivered, the pouch of Douglas stripped to the rectum, and the cavity closed. Never have I seen such masterly technique. And so little bleeding, I said, half to myself, half to my neighbour. Dead, came his whisper. Don't be a fool, I said, for still below us, in the pool of light, the marvellous, unhurried hands were stitching, tying the double strands of catgut, stitching, tying. It was like a concert, watching those hands unlock the music from their score. And at the end, one half expected him to turn and bend stiffly towards us. Stiffly he walked out, and his audience shuffled after. But finishing my notes in the gallery, I saw them uncover the patient. She was dead. I met my neighbour in the street, waiting for the same tram. stamping his feet on the pavement's broken snow, and said, "I have to apologize. She was dead. But how did you know?" Back came his voice like a bullet. "Saw it last month. Twice." Returning your letter to an envelope yellower by years than when you sealed it up, darkly the omens emerge. A ritual wound, yellow at the lip, yawns in my hand. A turbulent crater, a trench filled not with snow only, east of Buchenwald.